And that's ultimately what we're solving for. So it's through that data storytelling and this interactive visualization process that we're helping to engage audience in solving some of those core problems. So as an illustrative example of this, this is a map of the 2020 election on a county by county level. And you might recall back in 2016, Donald Trump would tout that the whole country voted red and show a map that sort of looked like this. But the counter argument to that is that land doesn't vote, people vote. And that if we start to actually add in the magnitudes here, a different story emerges, one where we can see that most of the population centers in the US are Democrat. And so let me take this one step forward for anyone here. And I'm going to open up this QR code as well as a link, which I'll put into the chat window. And if I can encourage people to either scan that QR code with your phone to open up the site, which will actually join this meeting live, or if you click on that link that is in the chat window, you'll be entered into this immersive environment, and we can actually go through this together. So this idea of like, how do we more effectively engage and how do we interact? This is part of it, right? It's not only that you can see my face and the data at the same time while I'm presenting, but that you can actually participate, that you can point to things. And so if you're on your computer, I would encourage you to click and drag, and that will move you around the environment on your flat screen. And then on your phone, you can touch and move around. And then if you are feeling adventurous, you can go into AR mode as well to actually go walk around the content. And yeah, so on this last step, just taking it one step further, which is to say that we can change the colors of these dots so that the world is, not so binary. It's not so just Democrat or Republican, but rather it's a little bit more purple when you look at the real ratio between Democrats and Republicans. And so, this is all to really point to how can we use different perspectives, look at the data through different lenses to derive more meaningful insights, and as well as feel part of this meeting, that we can interact, we can point to things. One thing that's very small is this idea that you can point to a dot and click on that dot. And to a non-expert, that's a very empowering thing. How do you drive engagement? You do it by taking down these barriers and encouraging people to reach out, to interact, to point to things, ask questions. And that's how we start to drive more meaningful engagements while remote. And just to extend this a little further, what is data? So what I showed you last was sort of a geospatial analysis, but we could also look at network graphs and how does, COVID as an example reproduce and how does it spread through a population? Or in this instance, we're looking at foot traffic data where we can look over all of last year where people were going. And we see this decline, when the pandemic hits pretty much everywhere. And then during the summer, you can see what I call the Home Depot effect of everyone getting sick of their all the defects they found in their house being quarantined and starting a DIY project or going to Home Depot to resolve. And so, it's through these narratives, it's through the storytelling that's where we found the most engagement. Just to present data doesn't drive insight or meaning, but to add that story, people remember the story, and the data adds the credibility layer. And by combining those things together, you form a really powerful package. And so that's really what we've seen. And